Hello guys, welcome to YouTube series of data science and machine learning. So till now we have done and completed data types like list, tuple. Okay, so now we are going to start with functions. This is just introduction. Function is just a group of related statement to perform a specific task. Uh, it means let's directly see an example. Uh, the main function of functions is that it avoids repetition or it saves the space for of the code. Okay, so it mainly it avoids repetition. So here is how we define a function. Okay, def. So now we have this also. So okay, this is, okay, let's do it simple only, or we can use. So this is how we define a function. Okay, def, and then we give its name. This is syntax. Okay, this is the name of function, this is the definition of functions, and this is called parameters. This is called parameters. Okay, name, if we can, parameter can be anything, we can name it anything. Okay, I am just naming it name. It means when we call the function we have to give one parameter. Okay, so okay, if we here I have name. If I have another parameter x, then when we call the function we have to give another parameter. Okay, two parameters. I will tell you what calling a function is. Okay, so just now just remember it. Okay, now this is the function. Whenever we call this function print name, and this will happen. Okay, it will print hello, and whatever the name is given as a parameter to this function. Okay, print name, whatever parameter will be given in this function will be printed like this, hello and that parameter. Okay, now calling the function. Here we created the print name function. Here we are calling the function print name Satish, and this is parameter. Okay, this is name parameter, so hello Satish. Now if we call it uh, div, then it is, sorry, we have to run it again. Now run hello div. You understand that whatever parameter we write in uh, this function, whatever is written in this function will be happen to it. Okay, so this is called calling a function. We give parameter, we define a function like this, we call a function like this. Okay, it's pretty intuitive, I guess. Okay, now docstring example. The first string after the function header is called the docstring and is short for documentation string. Okay, so let's see, we run it. This prints the name. Okay, this is just an example I wanted to show you. As we printed the whole name, the whole function and doc name like this. This tells you what this does. This prints the name. Okay, uh, it's pretty easy. This is not used much, but I just wanted to tell you this. Return statement example. Okay, return statement is when we define a function. Look here, we defined a function. Get sum. Get sum is the name of our function. And we have one parameter list. Anything, it's just a parameter. Okay, and we have another variable in this function. Sum is equals to 0. We initialize it to 0. And now for num in list, whatever the list is as a parameter, sum plus equals 1. It means it is doing the sum of the whole list and return sum, and it's returning this variable. Okay, it's what it's doing is when we call this function and give a parameter list, this for loop runs for every num and it adds all the list. Okay, all the list is added here. So what happen is when we do return sum, this is the variable which we are returning. So when we return sum, this sum will return value here. Sorry for the uh, sorry for this bad handwriting. What will happen is it's pretty easy. This return will return its value here, okay, and this parameter which is uh, which in which we are returning the sum, this list will be this parameter will be okay, it's my first time of using this. It's very uneasy for this. Okay. So what happens is when the return sum is returned to the defined parameter, then the answer is returned to wherever this function is called. Okay. So what am I? Let me be clear this time, and let's do this. Okay. Let's clear all this. Okay. When we call get sum and give it a list 1, 2, 3, 4, we have called this function. So what happens is this list goes as a parameter, and all the summing up is done here, and the sum is returned here, and this sum is then returned here to the function get sum. And when we print s, which is a variable we use for calling function, we print it and we get the value. Okay. Function is just not coding where the function is needed, but predefining a function whenever we need, we can use it. Okay. And anywhere in the code, once we have defined a function, we can use it anywhere in the function. Okay. We can some now we can give anywhere any list to get it sum. Okay. By using get sum function, we have created it. Similarly, doc, we are using this tells us this is this elements sum of all elements it gives. Okay. This is document. Okay. Sorry, I forget to tell you this. We are just writing this comments, or what we can write documentation here, which tells you what function is doing. When we call it, it tells what a function. It's for the coder's part of point of view. The coder can do this and see what a function is supposed to do. Okay. Now global variable and local variable, these are two things. Whatever you define outside the function is a global variable, and whatever you define inside the function is local variable. Okay. So this was pretty easy. Okay. That's it. This is global and local variable. Whatever defined outside is global, whatever defined inside is local variable. So we have defined a function test lifetime, and local variable is this. We are printing global and local. And remember, we can use global variable in the function, but we cannot use local variable outside the function. Okay, this was a pretty important point. So you look, when we call the function, both things printed, uh, local variable and global variable, look, both things printed. In the output you can see both things are printed. And when we outside of the function, when we print a global variable, the global variable printed, but outside of the function when we try to print a local variable, that gave an error. Local variable cannot be printed, not defined, as it is inside the function, it's not defined outside. So okay, this is the syntax, and this is how we define, this is the name, and this is the indentation, as obviously you would have guessed it. 1, 2, 3, 4, this is the indentation. Whatever you write in this will be called inside the function, and whatever you write outside or without indentation is called will be called outside the function. Okay, so it's pretty simple. It's just a simple code of computing HCF by taking two parameters. Okay, so we that means we take two numbers as a parameter or as an argument and calculate its parameter. This function does that. Okay, then we find the smaller function by this code. I hope it's pretty easy to guess. B if a is greater than b, and else a. This is just comprehension. Okay, now we are initializing HCF is equals to 1 for I in range 1 to smaller plus 1, smaller plus 1, as otherwise it will be taken as smaller minus 1 only. So we have to always initialize a smaller plus one. So you should see the for series. Okay, if you don't remember this, we have to use smaller plus one here so as to check the complete list. Okay, so for I in range this, if a divided by I is equals to 0 and b divided by I is equals to 0, it means when we check both divide both the numbers by I and its the remainder is 0, then HCF is equals to I. Now this number can be said as its HCF of both numbers. Now it's returning the HCF. Okay, so here HCF is returned to the here. Okay, now whenever this compute HCF will be called and given two parameters, HCF will be returned. Okay, so now num1 is num1 and num2 are defined 6 and 36, and HCF are HCF. Now we are printing HCF of 6 and 36 by just dot format. Okay, and in dot format we are calling this function. Okay, you should see this dot format only. We are calling this function compute HCF. This is very important. We can call it here also. Okay, compute HCF. We are giving two parameters num1 and num2, which is 6 and 36 respectively. And here it computes by num1 and num2. We can have different name. Okay, here we have num1 and num2, but this will be treated as a and b when we call this function compute HCF. Okay, so a and b are here num1 and num2. Smaller of them are 6, and this the code will run automatically. Okay, you can just understand it this code by yourself. Okay, or if you have any doubts, please do comment, and thank you.